everyone! Yeah, I'm back in the States for now, and I will be here for at least a couple of months, maybe until the end of the year. Right now, I am preparing for a few big episodes that are coming down the pipeline, but in the interim between when those episodes are ready for release and now, I decided I wanted to kind of have a gauntlet of some scriptless episodes just to talk about some anime that I've been meaning to get to for years now, but haven't really had much of a reason to review them specifically. So you know what that means. Beer me! And as if you needed me to tell you all that I'm back in California, proof positive, Hi-Fi Hops Beer Cozy. Lagunitas, why do you do this to me? It's also pretty telling that I'm back in America because I had to look through the beer aisle for at least 10 minutes to find a beer that wasn't IPA. Crack it open. First sip of the day. Oh crap, what is this? What is the ABV on this sucker anyway? 9.5! It's a Belgian-style triple ale with 9.5 ABV. Jesus Christ, Belgium, do you like your beer strong enough to fucking sanitize surgical equipment? Just in case if you guys don't know your ABV, basically beer is around 4 or 5 ABV usually. So this is about twice as strong as a normal beer. It's gonna be fun. So the first anime I want to talk to you all about right now is an anime that I was actually going to review back in 2012, 2013. That's right, Assemble Insert.
Challenger number 7, Mr. Hideo Oikawa from Hokkaido. I eat rice!
Can you guess why I never reviewed it?
You're telling me this is the tape from the bank?
We haven't got the tape from the bank yet. I just rented this downstairs.
This was supposed to be on the docket back in 2013, and I took about a couple of weeks to try to find a script for it, to talk about it, but invariably my entire script basically was, this isn't funny. And that's what this review is going to be, basically. This isn't funny. Coincidentally, you might see some vestiges of this possible episode that never came to be if you watch my Twilight of the Cockroaches review. We could do Assemble Insert.
No.
What's wrong with Assemble Insert?
Sage.
Bit of insider information for you on that one. I never thought about doing Assemble Insert after I spiked that review back in 2013, but after I talked about Patlabor, the last episode, I kind of realized inadvertently that Assemble Insert was originally by the exact same manga artist and writer as the Patlabor manga. So yeah, the creator of Assemble Insert, Masami Yuuki, is a member of Headgear, which was an amazing coincidence and something I totally and completely planned.
This is a matter of utmost urgency, so we simply picked at random.
You must believe me. So with that amazing coincidence, I basically kind of goaded myself into finally saying my piece about Assemble Insert, piecemeal as it is, because when you actually sit down and watch Assemble Insert for yourself, you kind of realize that you're kind of lacking of an overall opinion on it. And I watched it again for the purposes of this episode, and I really struggled with finding something meaningful to say about it other than it's not funny. And I'm going to try. And the beer is not going to help, but like I said, 9.5 ABV, I'm already in the bag.
Excuse me, but is that video any good? Oh yeah! I haven't watched it yet, but it's supposed to be really great.
To briefly summarize the plot, it's Tokyo, evil's running rampant, what's a city to do? I know, let's host an idol contest and make her the savior of Japan.
You win! Listen, as of today, you are our last defense against the Demon Seed!
So we basically have a 2-episode OVA series that amounts to a satire of 1980s J-pop and Sentai shows.
Bad guys always live in a place like this. Look there, their name is even Demon.
Which is fine if you're familiar with the material, but if you're not, you're just going to be left scratching your head for 60 minutes. I mean, if you really try to tilt your head a certain way, you can kind of see these gags being relevant today, since we're still living in the post-MCU singularity. Because tired and tried observations about heroes often leaving more damage than they wind up saving is evergreen as a goddamn forest of pines.
Looks like she had a $30 million debut after all.
But then you get into weird live-action asides that are basically spoofs of energy drink commercials from the 80s.
元気はつらつスポビタン C
And it kind of wears out its welcome. And that's just in the first episode, let alone it repeating the exact same gag in the second episode. Honestly, the characters in this anime don't really matter. They're ciphers for gags. That's all they are. Down to the fact that the staff that are there to hire the new heroine that's going to save the city are basically modeled after headgear employees. The main heroine of the series, Marin, does have a defining feature. She's super strong, but anything outside of that, and she is wet cardboard.
I didn't send in the application, but my mother and sister, they did it for me.
She's basically there to be ushered from one scene to the other without any agency of her own. And I suspect that maybe that's all a part of her gag, that she's this demure schoolgirl, even though she's strong enough to crunch iron with her fist. And I suppose I can see that being kind of funny, but they really don't do much with it overall. I mean, it's pretty obvious why these jokes don't land. I mean, if you're not Japanese and you weren't alive during the 1980s, a lot of these references are just going to fly right over your head and you have absolutely no chance of getting it.
Ever get that not so fresh feeling?
That's just what I was gonna say!
Those two are hopeless.
So much so, in fact, that Right Stuff International packaged the DVD with this little insert that basically explains all the jokes. And I guess we must play that clip from Batman the Animated Series.
If you have to explain a joke, there is no joke!
Bottom line, this all feels like homework, and all for jokes that really don't land properly even if you do get the context. Like, referential humor is one thing, but at the very least, you still need to have comedic timing and framing. And a simple insert really doesn't. I can't tell you how many times I saw a gag in a simple insert and thought to myself, this could have been funny.
It's impossible to defeat the demon seed without Marin. But if we can't stop this attack, we'll get another public bashing. No more bonuses.
And that infuriates me. I understand that a simple insert will always have this uphill battle to fight when it comes to entertaining an American audience. Like, for instance, I once watched a Japanese comedy program called Gaki no Tsubaki. And yes, I had to write this down in my notes here. It's ostensibly a program about a bunch of Japanese comedians trying not to laugh and then having a bunch of cruel and mean pranks being played on them to get them to laugh. And trying to watch that program as a non-Japanese person is an exercise in patience, because most of the time, the entirety of watching it isn't just training your eyes at the subtitles, it's also training your eyes at the context clues that are given at the top of the frame. There's really no chance for any kind of joke to land there, so what chance did a simple insert really have? And to have all of this context-heavy writing be in service of jokes that really don't elicit much of a reaction other than, is beyond me. It's inevitable that other anime comedies are going to be compared to Assemble Insert, and they're often just as dependent on context as Assemble Insert, but at least they, for the most part, are able to frame their jokes properly and allow timing to express itself, especially if they're going to be leaning heavily on the, shall we say, broader kinds of humor.
Get lost! You're gonna get hurt, little girl!
I really do feel that Excel Saga pretty much killed the anime comedy here in America. And I'm saying that as a huge fan of Excel Saga. Pretty much every single anime comedy that has ever come out here in America will invariably be compared to Excel Saga. And Excel Saga was lightning in a bottle. There was no way that anyone could ever replicate what Excel Saga did. Even the people behind Excel Saga couldn't replicate Excel Saga. Just look at Puni Puni Poemi.
Why? Why are you here? And since when do my flashbacks have commercials?
But even with all of that said, and wanting to be as fair as possible to Assemble Insert, all I could ever think while I was watching it for this episode was, God, I wish I was watching Excel Saga right now.
Ah, that shot us a ball. Why are you kill me so easily?
I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that Excel Saga just knew how to present its jokes better and allowed itself to expand its scope of satire, the fact that Excel Saga also had the superior dub really just puts a magnifying glass on just how bad Assemble Insert really is.
Holding auditions to pick people to fight the Demon Seed. Who the hell proposed this crazy idea?
I proposed it. I was drunk when I submitted the project and they approved it anyway.
Nearly everyone in the Assemble Insert dub is tragically miscast. There is no energy, everyone's wooden, everyone is playing the character way too low-key. Any laughs that could have been had died 1,000 deaths before it even had the chance to because of that terrible dub.
The ancient Mu-era Imperial treasure is ours for the taking.
That was a great line reading, Doctor.
Of course it was. The best actor always plays the villain.
And it just so happens that Jessica Calvello is in Assemble Insert as well, and she's fine as Marin, but you find yourself wishing that she had more room to just expand and grow into the character, but there's just nothing to Marin. When you compare her and Excel as comedic heroines, how is there any comparison?
How does it fit, Marin?
I'm pretty embarrassed.
How comfortable is embarrassed, would you say?
But Excel don't know how to fly this thing! I know that you can do it. Good luck. Easy for you to say, bitch!
And the fact that Excel Saga also has an extended gag about how the creators of the anime also put themselves into the anime, yeah, the comparisons are only going to be natural, and they're also going to be naturally unfavorable to Assemble Insert. I'm sorry. In a way, I find myself kind of oddly respecting Assemble Insert's existence, but only within the context of it basically being a shitpost. I can find no audience for Assemble Insert other than the small group of people that are only getting smaller by the day. Nah, I'll just spike all of that. That sounds dumb. Doom. I don't know, sober me. Am I going to keep all of this half-drunk takes in this video? Never gonna have this beer again. Seriously, this is almost as strong as wine.
Her erogenous zones are protected, but her sensitivity is still very acute.
What are you writing in there?
I guess if I want to put a pin in all of this, I want to say that comedy is often a time capsule. And as such, comedy ages so erratically. Sometimes a classic will always be a classic, and sometimes it was only funny if you were there. And to have a comedy that has such an intense focus that you could only really appreciate it if you were there at that specific time, it feels like the anime itself becomes the time capsule. And from an historical perspective, I can appreciate it on that front. And I can even appreciate it for the fact that its own existence is so hyper-specific that the fact that it has an American release at all is mind-boggling. But as a general recommendation, if you actually want to watch an anime just to laugh, no. Assemble Insert is not that. Assemble Insert, on its best day, is a curiosity. It is something to look at and wonder how far we've come from where we were.
Seriously, after you see that commercial, you just gotta have one. Isn't there some rule about putting in a live action sequence?
You know, I feel like we're kind of on a groove now, talking about anime comedies that time has mostly forgotten. So, you know what? Let's keep on keeping on with The Samurai. I don't know what this is. I've never seen it as of the time of this recording, but I'm game if you all are. Till next time.